Your story today, obviously fascinating, and not just because I'm from Alabama. Obviously, I think what struck me most, Democrats haven't really suffered significant losses, congressional losses, since 1994, but you're reporting today that 24 seats in the South potentially up for grabs. Tell us about your piece.
Right. In 1994, a big part of the Republican sweep, they won 54 seats that year. 19 of them came from the South. Now this year, Democrats are bracing for a wide swath of defeats across the South, perhaps as many as 12. It could, if there's a big wave, go up to maybe 19 or 20. And the reason it's happening is, a lot of these Democrats are retiring, and there are open seats. There are 2 open seats long held by Democrats in Arkansas, 2 open seats, retirements, longtime Democrats retired, which makes it more difficult for a new Democrat to be elected in those seats. And across, Mississippi, Alabama, to Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, even Texas. So long-time incumbents. The chairman of the Budget Committee, John Spratt from South Carolina, in the fight of his life. So throughout the South, this will be one of the biggest places where Democrats will struggle on election night.
Well, when I was growing up in Alabama, there were the yellow dog Democrats. You'd rather vote for a yellow dog than vote Republican. And then, we had the blue dogs, which are the more moderate Democrats. And, now it looks like those dogs ain't going to fight. What has happened? I think some people might even be surprised to hear there still even are Democrats in the South. What's happened with the blue dogs? Why are they still even trying to be Democrats if they're conservative and tend to vote along the lines of the Republican Party now?
Well, a lot of these Democrats are Democrats because they've always been Democrats.
And even though their voting records don't necessarily look Democratic at all.
And most of the people we're talking about here, voted against the health care reform bill. They voted against some voted against the economic stimulus, the cap and trade bill. But the reason that they're still Democrats is because that's where they came up if they were elected to a county level position at the courthouse or the state legislature. And politicians run into problems when they switch parties midstream. It works for some. Senator Richard Shelby of Alabama was a Democrat. Now he's a safe Republican, but it doesn't work for others.
Well, another Alabama.
Exactly. Yeah. Parker Griffith, he started as a Democrat in 2008. He changed parties. He was defeated in a Republican primary. So changing
it's
parties.
Not so simple.
It's not so simple because, you already have some of these Democratic votes under your belt. But the reason it matters is even if you don't vote with the party line on health care and these other controversial things, you're still part of the party when they decide, how many people are on committees. The functional control of the House is decided by how many people who call themselves Democrats. And that number is shrinking, will be shrinking. And as some of these retirements across the South, these seats that have been in Democratic hands since Reconstruction will almost certainly not be.
So the party leaders need Democrats in name only. I think we've seen Speaker Pelosi kind of go out there and say, run the race you have to run, send the messages that you need to send. And one of the things you point out in your article is how a lot of these conservative Democrats really are running almost against the party and its leaders. And I think we've got a clip from, Jim Marshall from Georgia, Democrat of Georgia, who says basically Georgia is a long way from San Francisco. Let's take a look at that.
I'm Jim Marshall, and I approve this message.
Georgia is a long way from San Francisco, and Jim Marshall is a long way from Nancy Pelosi. Jim Marshall doesn't support Nancy Pelosi. He voted the same as Republican leaders 65% of the time. Jim Marshall worked and voted against Pelosi's $1 trillion health care bill because we can't afford it. And Jim Marshall is endorsed by the NRA, Right to Life, and the Chamber of Commerce. They wouldn't have anything to do with a Nancy Pelosi supporter.
So not exactly I'm proud to be a Democrat there in Georgia. And again, I think you're seeing that in a lot of these places across the South. But beyond Speaker Pelosi, is this also a referendum on Barack Obama? You talk in your article about Bill Clinton, who obviously had a lot more success with some of those rural white voters than Obama did out campaigning. What does this say about the president's pull in that region, current president?
It means that President Obama, he's a drag on the party in many places of the country. But it's interesting. As I was traveling, throughout the South last week, Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, the TV ads you see are just like Congressman Marshall's. They're about Nancy Pelosi. Most of the ads are not as much about President Obama because you can more directly link to, if you elect Jim Marshall, he's still a Democrat. And what his ad is in response to just a series of really hard ads, hard and negative ads from his Republican opponent, tying him to Nancy Pelosi. So he finally is concerned enough that he responded with this ad. So really all summer long, he and other Democrats have just been getting pummeled by being tied to Speaker Pelosi. So much so that people are saying if Democrats win control or hold on to control, that they will not vote for her. It's pretty extraordinary. A couple months ago, we talked to Jim Marshall on this broadcast, and he was
well, we thought he was
viewed
safe,
as pretty safe. He thought he was safe, and that's really what's happening in the final 2 weeks of the campaign. The battleground has spread wide. Republicans are competing in places where they did not think they ever had a chance to, and if that trend continues, we could be looking at a pretty major sweep
of the region, and then potentially groundbreaking change in the House.
No question.
So, all right, Jeff, thanks very much. We'll look forward to talking to you next Tuesday.
Thank you.
As always, good luck this weekend with Nebraska and your opponent.
They need luck.
We've got Tennessee.
Okay.
All right.